Okay, very proud of our guys, our players, coaches. That was a gutsy performance, a tough win, hard-fought win. Um, for our guys to bounce back after a disappointment like last week and to play with the resolve and the determination they did this week was really speaks to their character and who they are as people. And same with our assistant coaches. We're working round the clock essentially to try to put our guys in position to win. So great job by our players. Can't say enough about them. Individually, Devontae Booker, another big night. I think he was over 150 yards. Defense came up big, scored again on defense. Several sacks. I don't know how many sacks we came away with. We had a boatload of sacks and led by Nate Orchard. Andy Phillips, what more can you say about him? He's got ice water in his veins. Tom Hackett and his punting, the way he flips the field for us every single week. And so on and on. But it was a nice win. Good to come down and beat a quality opponent like UCLA at their place, a very highly ranked opponent. And so good to get back in the win column and back, get that last one out of our system last week. And the scoring sequence of this game was eerily similar to what it was last week. I mean, it was going down almost the exact same way till the end. Different ending, obviously, but it was very, very similar game to last week. But this week had enough in the tank to get it done. So questions?
Kyle, talk about the decision at the time to pull Travis Wilson from Kendall.
Yeah, we'd gone 3 and outs with the first 3 series, hadn't moved the ball. And we had that discussion all week long with Kendall and Travis that during, may early in the game give Kendall a shot to see what happens if it felt like it was the thing to do. And so it was no surprise. And Kendall came in and did a nice job and was moving the team, taking care of the football. And it was our judgment as coaches to stick with it and continue throughout the rest of the game with that changeup. Don't know that. I won't answer that right now. We got to watch film. We got to have discussions. We got to evaluate and deliberate on what the best course of action is, and that'll be coming up on Monday. Those discussions and evaluations.
Kyle, before the game, obviously you want to keep your team focused on the task at hand, but did you or some of the players see some of the scores that were happening throughout the day and think, man, we have a chance to do
Absolutely. We talked about that. We meet as a team before we get on the bus to come over to the stadium. I said, hey, do you see what's gone on this weekend? And starting Thursday with Arizona and Oregon and the upsets that are taking place. And we got a chance to be right in that same conversation. And players, they knew it. I didn't have to tell them. They understood that there was it was upsets going on, and we went out and slayed us another giant, just like we did last year at Stanford. Did we? That's a good number. Is that right? Thanks, Dirk, for digging that up. That's Dirk Diggler digging that stuff up. Yeah. No comment. You guys shouldn't know that. What's that? Well, we went with. Good question. We went with predominantly a 4-man rush. In fact, I don't think we rushed 3 at any time this week. We did last week. And after talking about it, we decided, hey, we're a better football team. Rather than drop off into coverage and play coverage, let's get after the quarterback a little bit more. And so we brought 4 and 5 and 6 at times, 7 at times. But that was the decision going into the week, is to maybe put a little more stress on the secondary and turn the front loose a little bit more and allowing them to rush the passer. Now, I say stress on the secondary. If we do a good job rushing the passer, it actually takes stress off the secondary. So it's a give and take. So if you're going to bring 4, continually not drop 8, and also pressure, and you're getting home, that's a good recipe for us. The defensive line, toughness, athleticism. Nate Orchard is just like we've had. That's the position that we've had a string of guys that played in the NFL. Started with Martell Burnett way back when, and Paul Kruger, Koamisi, Trevor Riley. I mean, that's the spot that we put the premier pass rusher in, and a guy that's also athletic enough to drop off into coverage a certain percentage of the time. And Nate it starts with Nate. We're deep at defensive tackle. We've got 5 or 6 guys. We roll through there. Very proud of Lolo Tulele. He got his first start tonight. Did some good things. Seni Faunuku, Sese Ionu. Ianu is a good player for us. Hunter Demick. He goes unnoticed, but he's a tough, just a grinder type of player that not flashy, but he always does his job. Always does his job, and he's played very well for us. And Jason Fanike. I mean, probably the depth, the talent, the combination of that and the way they're coached. Coach Tuiaki does a great job coaching those guys. As I've said many times, I think we led the nation in sacks last year at the end of the regular season. I'm pretty sure. I'd have to double check, but we were up there, and we got to be up there after tonight this year through just about the midway point.
Talking about slaying another giant, doing it on the road. How important is that in this conference?
It's important. You gotta win at home, obviously, but you gotta win it on the road as well. I mean, you got to be able to get road wins, and I've never understood what the word signature win is, but this is a big win for us on the road, and you don't want to, it's one game, and we don't want to go overboard and pat ourselves on the back too long, but it says what our capabilities are if we play a complete game and play smart and play the full 60 minutes, and that's hopefully a confidence builder for our players. Not that they lack confidence, but give them a little infusion of feeling pretty good about themselves.
What was going through your mind when they got a second chance?
Yeah, someone's gonna have to explain that to me, because that almost, we tipped the ball. Assumingly, we tipped the ball. Our guy said we tipped the ball. Our player, and if you tip the ball, I was under the impression there was no roughing. If it's like a punter, if you block the punt or deflect it and run into him, it's not roughing. And so I've got to get an answer on that. And I'm not Commissioner Scott. Don't find me or anything, because I'm not bad mouthing the refs right now. But I need a explanation as to why that went down like it did. We had no timeouts, so we couldn't stop the game and challenge it. But I'm under the impression, a tip pass is reviewable. So why wouldn't a tipped or a partially blocked field goal? And if so, then there should be no flag. And yeah, we can't stop the clock to review it, but they're looking at every play upstairs, and they had plenty of time, and that's during the course of those two kicks in between, to look at it. And so, maybe there wasn't video evidence up there that it was touched, but I thought they were going to shut the game down, look at it, put it under the microscope, and then make sure they had the call right. But they just went on and gave him another kick. And so I'm sure there's an explanation for it. I don't know what it is as I'm standing here right now, but I'm sure our fine director of officials, Tony Correnti, will get with me and tell me exactly what went down and why.
Kendall's mobility as a runner and then evading pressure.
That was a long answer to that, huh? Yeah. Okay, what's that?
Kendall's mobility as a runner and then evading pressure. Have you been seeing that in practice?
Oh, yeah,
It seemed to spark you guys offensively.
Yeah, we've seen that from Kendall from the first practice in fall camp, that his ability to extend the play when you're talking about the throwing game, escape, get out of the pocket, move around, and allow time for guys to get open or pull it down and run the football is very good. Also, the QB run game, just the pure Q run game, both off the zone read, pulling it off the zone read, and just the dialed up pure QB runs that have no option to them. And so that is his strength. And, he did a nice job. I don't know what he rushed for, but he had, about 70, 80-something yards. I can't see. I'm getting so old. But I think it's 83 yards is what the sheet said, which when you rush for 242 yards against the talent that UCLA has in front seven, I mean, you've done some good work. Those linebackers, Jack and Kendricks, and those down guys, those guys are beasts. I mean, those guys are as good as there are in the country. And to be able to rush for 242 yards against those guys is a real tribute to our backs and our offensive line, and as well as Kendall.
You got the run game really well today, but what are you seeing from the receivers, especially back-to-back?
Yeah, we got to be more consistent on the outside, and they're blocking their tails off in the run game, which is outstanding, because receivers are not just judged when the ball comes to you; it's what you do without the ball that's as important. But we've got to be more sure-handed, and our guys, Kenneth Scott, Drez Anderson, those guys, they work tirelessly at practice. They're before practice, after practice on the jugs machine. Kalen Clay, I believe if we hit that crosser on the boot in that couple drives before the end, I think we score on that drive and maybe put the game out of reach. But shoulda, woulda, coulda. Bottom line, we've got to be more consistent at wide receiver, and we'll work on that. We'll work on that.
How about one more for Coach
What's
Whit?
it like getting ready for this conference?
It's a meat grinder. This is the meat grinder of the Pac-12 is week in and week out. You better have depth. You better have playmakers. You better be stout up front. I mean, you got any weakness in this conference and you're toast. And so, we don't have anybody next week, but then we go to Oregon State, who's got another great quarterback and a bunch of good players on defense. So it's week in, week out, one after another. There are no weeks off unless you have a bye.
Thanks a lot.
Okay, thanks.